The December Visa Bulletin is out today, and they have told us, and we didn't believe them, and now we must believe them. We have 6 months retrogression for the EB to India. Not much going on with China. So the new India date is now, for the final action date is October of 2011. We have a 2 months forward movement in the EB3, which we don't understand, except maybe what you've said, Brian. There's a ghost town.
Nobody wants, you know, Sam, it seems like nobody wants an EB3 visa, because that's why the dates are moving forward, 2 months. But I think there's plenty of people out there who would like an EB3 visa,
Yep. I'm Sam Shihab.
I'm Brian Burke.
And when we come back, we're going to just discuss it and talk about it and get your input and also answer questions as we learn and about this new event. And I'm sure more information will be forthcoming in the following few weeks. Stay with us. All right. So the Visa Bulletin got delayed, and they've released a note last month that maybe we're looking again at the EB2 and EB3 for India because of increased demand from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And
for anybody who's not aware, the way it works is, every country gets their own allocation of visas. It goes by country of birth. You're in the line for the country where you were born. And, when countries don't use their full allocation, they flow across to other countries in the same category. And unused visas in higher categories flow down to lower categories. And for the last, couple years, due to COVID and some other factors, basically massive visa availability, apparently lower demand in EB1 categories, which led to great big surges forward in the EB2 category.
And now we have a scenario here where we're trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
Information received last year indicate that they've switched green card applications to India, 10,000 in the last quarter of last year, which give you the clue that they have exhausted the rest of the world applications.
Demand, in terms of their demand. And they can only
in the warehouses, whatever.
Yeah, and they can only legally do that. And they can only legally move, categories from the rest of the world to India, EB2, the most backlogged spot, if they have no more cases left. And thus, you come into this year expecting that the positive movement for India EB2 will keep on going. But at the beginning of this fiscal year, October, it goes back, about a little bit over 2 years for India EB2, and it lines itself up with India EB3. And it comes with the saying from the government that EB demand from the rest of the world is higher, meaning less for India. And there's also less visas this year, 197,000 this year versus about 280,000 last year. But it just leaves us scratching our heads.
And then we get this ombudsman webinar or discussion, and they throw a number of 40,000 rest of the world EB2 that's in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Which you couldn't have nothing such that you shifted green cards from the rest of the world to India.
In September.
In September, and now all of a sudden you have a 40,000.
Yeah. Go employment immigration lawyers bar, but I don't think around the country there's enough,
40,000 in a few days?
Yeah, 40,000 employment green cards for the rest of the world in a few days.
And then obviously the I-140 numbers got revised. They published I-140 approvals.
Yeah.
Was released. There were a couple of releases and they're inconsistent with each other. Maybe they forgot. They found a key somewhere and they discovered there's a warehouse of boxes. I don't know.
Yeah. I like that scenario, but yes, it definitely brings the idea that I question their counting. How are they counting these cases?
Clearly, there's confusion and there's data that's not very. But the bottom line is this, guys. We have a backward movement. Also, I want to mention something here. Last year, they wanted people to transfer their underlying bases from EB3 to EB2 to get your green card.
They were specifically encouraging that. That was what their policy says. They said, this is where the visas are going to be available. Please do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now everybody moved to EB2.
Yeah.
Their policy is you cannot withdraw a transfer underlying basis after approval. They never tell you when they approve. They don't send you an approval. But now they move back the EB3 2 months. And I'm aware of people that got caught in this scenario where they transferred their underlying basis to EB2 to try to get an approval. And they now retrogress 6 months. They moved forward EB3 2 months. And those people got caught in the government recommendation transferring the underlying basis.
Yeah.
Now they want to go back. Can they go back?
Yeah. And Joe, shall we answer that question right now? What the transfer underlying basis policy says on that front?
Yeah.
You know, let me see. So the USCIS policy manual says that a transfer underlying basis, the applicant cannot withdraw or transfer to a third basis at a later time, except for possible transfer between the first 3 employment-based categories. So
that's positive.
yeah, but you know, what a vague policy that is. Possible transfer among the first 3 employment categories. So it is
Clearly, one of the possibility is when you followed government recommendation, the government recommendation told you to do it, and
yeah, I mean, they're going to have to release some sort of policy on this because you know last fiscal year they had that policy saying, hey, send your transfer underlying basis to this office in California, that's where we're going to receive all those so we can process them quickly. And now, I mean, they're going to certainly generate a good chunk of requests to transfer back.
The second change that's significant is the establishment of a filing date and a final action date for rest of the world EB2. And that's a very significant development because now we do not have the benefit of fall across of any visas to India or China from the EB2 category.
Yeah.
So we're down to 0.
Yeah, I'll state it another way. If they established a final action date for the rest of the world, it's November 1st of 2022 in December. And that means that the rest of the world is gobbling up all the visas that are allocated to them under law initially, meaning there's nothing to flow across to more backlog categories. And for the time being, that's it. Yeah.
So, and then there's...
That means there's nothing extra for the most backlog category, India EB2 there.
Yeah. And then the final announcement is that they've also given us now the same note that we've received last month about EB2, but it is about EB1. And they told us that because the increased demand for employment first category combined with the decreased visa number, we will most likely necessitate the establishment of final action date for China and India in the coming months in the EB1 category. That's also going to
have the same impact across that category.
A very negative blow
Yeah.
to the EB2.
Yeah. So the way it'll work is, if they're backlogging, India and China, EB1, all those other countries, okay, they haven't said anything about backlogging the rest of the world for EB1, but basically their unused visas are going to pour into the India and China, the most backlogged area, and because they're saying, we're going to establish a final action date for India and China EB1, it means there's not going to be enough to take care of those folks for the demand, meaning there will be no downfall to India EB2 or to EB2 at all from EB1.
From EB1 potentially. So let's put that chart on for a minute. We have this Excel sheet we can look at and see if it makes sense. Kind of explain to everybody what's going on. And we're going to play with numbers if my keyboard is working here, trying to understand it. So if you look at this chart, do we have that on the screen?
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah.
So if you look at this chart, we have, just to kind of establish the foundation, we have 140,000 employment-based green cards that we get every year. Then we have 57,000. That's been confirmed. That number has been confirmed now
in the Visa Bulletin.
In the Visa Bulletin. So that's the total is 197 green cards, which is adding these two numbers. Now, we're only focusing on EB1, EB2, and EB3 because we don't believe that EB4 and EB5, there will be any opportunity to flow up to EB1 and then down to EB2. I think they are going to be needing them in their own category. So there's no flow from EB4 or EB5 in our expectation from day one.
Yeah.
Therefore, the focus is EB1, EB2, and EB3. Each category received a total limit of 28.6%, Brian, of that 197,000 green card application, each category. Now, what does that mean? That means that 56,342 green cards are available for EB1, same number for EB2, and similar number for EB3, except that EB3 is split between other workers and professionals, but it's the same number. If you add these two numbers together here, that's 56,342. Now, what we're talking about here, and I think what we need to do is maybe move this to the right a little bit. Yeah. So what we're talking here is the first quarter. So the first quarter of that 28.6% times $197,000, 197 green cards times 0.25, 1 quarter. That's the first quarter allocation for EB1. That's the first quarter allocation for EB2. That's the first quarter allocation for EB3. Now, what they're telling us, Brian, for the EB2, to establish a rest of the world number that they have either crossed that date or very close to crossing that date in the first quarter already.
Yeah.
They're not talking about the remainder, which is there is more available for the second quarter and the third quarter, the 56,000. They're talking about the 14,000 first quarter numbers, if they're following the law. Now, we don't know what they're talking about, but we just assume that they're doing it on a quarterly basis.
Yeah, I mean, they said they evaluate these things on a quarterly basis, and we understand that's what they're supposed to do. And my present thought is they have absolute tunnel vision. The visa bulletins we're getting is not predicting that there's going to be visas available soon. They are saying we don't want to advance the visa bulletin further than it should be at all. We're going to move it very conservatively, and we'll consider moving it ahead once that new release of visas comes in the next quarter. So, bottom line for me, Sam, I think the January visa bulletin is still going to be, an interesting one. That's when the new quarter begins. That's when the new visas are available.
When there's another 14,000 EB2 dumps in the EB2, and we'll see whether maybe the rest of the world demand has decreased such that there will be a positive movement. Yeah. But when they're telling me there's 40,000. The ombudsman said there's 40,000 rest of the world application. That's not very promising. That eats up all the numbers.
Yes, well, it eats up almost a year's worth for it. Yeah, it meets the entire, pretty much the majority of the EB2.
Yes.
So what bothers me, Sam, is I think we saw last year that India EB2 got 40%, maybe it was the prior fiscal year, got like 42% of the available green cards. And if demand is consistent, and I honestly, across all the countries around the world, and I really believe it is, it seems like India, EB2, and all the countries should get about the same percentage every year, and it just doesn't seem like it is that way. All this slingshotting on the visa bulletin seems like it can only be the result of just either just wrong movement on the visa bulletin, just being too aggressive. And essentially, when they're too aggressive, Sam, that's when they run afoul of that, first in, first out law. We've talked in the past about the law that says we're supposed to process green card applications by the date you get in line, your priority date. And we know that they didn't. People, raise your hand if you have a friend who's gotten a green card for the 2014 priority date while you're sitting there, like with a 2012 date, feeling like, what's the hell?
Going on?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that this fluctuation is an outcome of people not doing what they're supposed to do correctly, not because there is really this realistic increased demand. I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a greater overall demand, but for visas, but not from any. I don't believe that any particular country has suddenly said, hey, we were not in the United States, and suddenly the rest of the world says they want to immigrate to the United States.
It doesn't make sense because the rest of the world has been current forever.
Yeah.
So why is there an increased demand of the rest? Where's that coming from?
Not only that, we have more visas this year. I mean, I can't remember. I've been doing my job. I've been with you for 12 years. I can't remember the rest of the world having a final action date, and now they have one. It is.
And what has changed? I mean, COVID. Everybody went back to their country. Nobody cares about coming to the United States more aggressively or less aggressively. I mean, the dynamics haven't changed.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
So with the increased EB1 demand as well, I see the opportunity for EB2 movement for India. China hasn't moved, by the way, negative or positive.
Well, I thought it moved back a little bit. December filing dates, final action. Yeah, it moved. EB3 China moved forward a little bit.
Yeah, but EB2 no movement.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Well, so I guess should we come back around and talk about what's going on with? I mean, what do you think about the EB3? We're really focusing on the EB2 lurch backwards.
What's going on with EB2? Let's put that slides one more time because it's just to explain to people how little the numbers are.
You want to put the
Excel sheet. So
they want the Excel sheet. Okay.
Yeah. Because the numbers. So
I'll figure it out, Sam. I'll get it up there. Go ahead. You can talk.
The numbers look very confusing to me.
There we are.
If you look at EB3, there's only 3,244
per country. There's 7% of the 28% that goes to the category, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, unless there is a fall across that's happening, that nobody's using EB3, which I don't believe it.
Well, see, for the rest of the world, folks from India and China have a desire to be in EB2 because they know they're going to get a green card faster generally because it's a more prestigious category. The rest of the world, folks, they don't care that much because they're current in both categories. EB2, EB3. You want to move this now?
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
EB2, EB3, I don't care. You're telling me the dates are current? You can give me the lowest category ever. I don't care as long as I get a green card.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Is
it just a case of the government has basically, said, hey, everybody, come over here. The water's fine in EB2, tons of visas, and now everybody's there.
They cannot find EB2, EB3s to approve? That's why they're moving them forward?
Yeah, Visa Bulletin move forward means hey, we have some more bandwidth in this category. We have more visas to give away, and the date where we're at right now, we're not getting the cases to issue them. And then does everybody? I literally have a case on my desk right now where somebody was going to send an RFE response to USCIS saying, okay, I want to be in the EB2 category, and then sometime, recently the December Visa Bulletin came out, and he's a lot closer to current in EB3 than EB2, and I'm irritated because it throws half my work on the RFE response out the door. I'm happy because I get to talk to the guy and say, do we want to reevaluate your options here? But I guess we were talking, at the very beginning of this presentation, you said, there's got to be more development to come, and number one thing on the list is USCIS, Department of State and USCIS have to solve their problem, and that they are leading people into these categories, and it's a feedback loop. They're creating this problem. If we presume that that the lack of EB3 demand is because everybody has moved to EB2, this is a problem they're arguably creating themselves. And how do they stop it? And how do they keep balance? Because it's a great way to frustrate people to slingshot the Visa Bulletin back and forth.
Yeah, well, this is what happened starting from 2 years ago when they've moved the EB3 filing date so far forward, and everybody did this crazy transfers, and everybody said, "Whoa, no, EB2 guys, let's move to EB2." Everybody jumped on the EB2 and said, "Guess what? We're moving EB3 forward now, and we're moving back EB2 6 months." What is going on? Are you kidding me?
Well, it makes enough sense how we get there. It's, people, the EB2 category is a higher category, and people from India and China have, they want to, I don't blame them, they want a faster green card. They seek jobs that offer the benefit of EB2. And it turns out nobody's in the EB3 category. The problem is, though, Sam, why wasn't the EB3 category, ahead,
This is the Visa Bulletin. I already got requests to jump back to EB3.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be having that phone call with somebody soon, and the government. I mean, it's tough.
And now they're gonna slow down EB3 and move forward EB2 and let people. This is ridiculous.
Well, and
I think the application has to be, the I-140 application has to be changed, and a box that says, process me in whatever category I think is available, both EB3 and EB2,
No.
and you're done.
I'm literally contemplating writing an RFE response saying, you guys want to know what category my client wants? He wants whatever category you can give him a green card fastest. And he has approvals with multiple companies, EB2, EB3, and you guys want him to, here's the forms, what you need, just do whatever you can fast. That's right, though. I mean, on the bright side, I guess they can't soak people for filing fees again for additional I-140s because they already have EB3 and EB2 approvals, and that's that.
And wait, it's not over. Wait until they come out with this. Now they're going to retrogress and they're going to say, oh no, we have plenty of bandwidth, and then jump people back again and flip people around. And so this is really
I'm still interested in the January Visa Bulletin. How quarterly they're really looking at this will be manifest in the January Visa Bulletin.
Well, it's not consistent quarterly because if you read the language, Brian, if you read the language on the EB1 warning, it's talking about next quarter already. So they're looking at heavy application demand, significantly lower visa number available. Okay, and this is, however, higher than as a result, fewer additional numbers will be available in India. And employment by second. I mean, they're talking about futuristic. Same thing on the other one.
You're right. Yeah, for EB1 it says, in the coming months.
Yes.
In the coming months
That's
it
what
says.
I was looking for.
You were reading the EB2 stuff.
Yeah.
So
in the coming months. So why are they talking about the coming months now?
I don't.
I guess are they into the next 14,000? Let's go into the get out. Okay,
yeah. Put us back on us. Yeah.
Are they looking at the next few months? So now we've used up the 14,000, and now that we're into the second 14,000 of allocation for the EB1.
I suppose so. What's really getting underneath my skin though is the again backward movement in EB2. So I don't understand how it can move backward from even more backward. Are they getting more cases in the EB2 category? Are cases coming out of the woodwork?
There's no question. There's no question in my mind, that this is as a result of extremely poor tracking of what they have in their pipeline.
Bad data in, bad data out.
This is and now they're correcting it. They're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. There is no question in my mind.
So what are we going to be looking at then? A pendulum effect until it eventually settles on some sort of the categories flopping back and forth.
I have no answer.
I mean, we're in the midst of it. We saw it again. Leap forward EB3, then leap forward EB2. Now we're leap forward EB3 and pull back EB2.
Yeah. No projection here. We just wanted to share with you guys our thoughts, our discussions.
Yeah, we were going to have a conversation anyway, and we said let's
have it with everybody else. So let's see if anybody. And with all due respect, I'm probably not going to do any predictions on numbers. I have no ability to predict anything right now. This just came today in trying to kind of figure out what's going on. I'm sure more information will be released. I hope that sheds some light on this confusion.
No.
But let's take a moment break, Brian, and come back and take the discussion. Yes. All right, guys, so we want to take your questions, and as usual, we will take any question. I know some people have questions on other issues not related to this topic. They are welcome. But if you have questions on what we've talked about as well, we would like to take those as well so we can have a conversation or information you can share, because honestly, we learn from you a lot when it comes to the Visa Bulletin, because this stuff is data. Not, I mean, it's law, but it's also a lot of data there. So let's take the.
I'm pretty good at law. I'm not exactly good with crunching numbers. Not as good at the law stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So let's see what's out there. So from Chris. Prior to January 2014, EB2 India received EAD AP. Do you suggest change job? If so, do I need to restart PERM / I-140 all over again? What are the pros and cons of changing job? Do you suggest travel outside the U.S. on advanced parole? So the devil's in the details. We have a great blog on our website, Sam. We also did a video about it a while back about changing your job with a green card in process. So that is out there. It's a really good topic. So the things you need to understand, Chris, are there's the number one thing that's available for you out there with somebody with a pending green card are the portability rules. Basically, there are rules out there that allow somebody who has an approved I-140 and the green card pending for more than 180 days, more or less simplified version of it, to change jobs with your green card in process, because the law recognizes that it could take USCIS a long time to approve a green card once it's filed. A lot of you guys are discovering that right now, and they don't want anybody to be stuck with their job forever. They want to encourage portability of people. So, one of the challenges about it is you can get stuck in a category if you don't have if by chance, you change jobs, you're in the EB2 category and suddenly EB3 looks more attractive, it can be a challenge to change back. Yeah.
Good summary.
Yeah.
Do you suggest traveling outside the United States on advanced parole? I don't suggest traveling on advanced parole, but if you're traveling, you can certainly use advanced parole and come back. It's not a problem. The only issue with advanced parole is if there's ramification. Yeah.
A need to file another adjustment of status could lead to not being able to do that if you're in the United States as a parolee. So I'm going to do this thing that I always do when I talk about traveling on H-1B versus advanced parole. There's your H-1B. It's been good to you. It's kept you working, legally staying in the United States for a long time. Then you file adjustment status. You have another layer of protection. It feels good. When you abandon your H-1B status, you enter an advanced parole, you lose that layer of protection. And if something happens to your adjustment of status, well, it'd be nice to have that H-1B there. So my preference is to always, if possible, travel on an H-1B visa in lieu of advanced parole. Take the advanced parole if you need it. You can use it, but yeah.
But every case is different, and your case may be perfect for advanced parole. You would just need to learn more about it.
Yeah.
Let's take the next one.
Yeah,
right?
they give you advanced parole so you can use them, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what we got.
My priority date is February 2015 in the EB2, and I'm born in India.
Yeah.
From India. So is it safe to change jobs now? So nothing you've given me that tells me it is unsafe or it is safe. So I'm assuming, my first assumption is you have filed an I adjustment of status.
Can't be. February 2015 EB2. Priority date's never made it that far.
Never made it that far.
Yeah.
So you have not filed for an adjustment of status. So if you change, so you're always safe to change jobs if you have a priority date that's locked in, and you just have to file a new PERM, a new I-140, and that priority date should transfer to this new application.
Yeah, that's a general rule of thumb. Yeah.
From Alphabet.
Yeah, let's keep on going.
Yeah. My husband got a green card, and dates have now retrogressed. My condolences.
Yeah.
Can he apply for F2A for me now while my 485 is pending? Smart move, yes.
Doesn't hurt to be in multiple lines, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100% yes.
Yeah.
But talk to an attorney and don't make any changes to the adjustment of status that you have.
Yeah.
Keep that employment-based adjustment of status. But yeah, F2A is a good option. It has not retrogressed.
Yeah, let's see what else we got here. If domestic violence case filed through 911, is it a problem at the port of entry to the U.S.? Filed 1.8 years back, no arrest, no court, still living together. So if there's ever something that makes me want to pull out that phrase, you need to really talk to an attorney about the specific facts of your case. When I hear domestic violence, that's it. Generally speaking, in terms of U.S. immigration, domestic violence is a very, very serious matter, and the devil is in the details, and you would really have to talk to somebody about the specifics. But, you know,
what I don't see here is whether or not there's no charges. So I hear that called 911, nothing happened, no arrest, so police must have come in, and they said, okay, everything is calm, which is very rare not to arrest. And there are no charges filed. So if there's charges, then it gets complicated. But if there's no charges whatsoever and no court, that sounds positive to me.
Well, yeah, no arrest, no court, no nothing sounds, it makes me wonder how there's a domestic violence case at all, you know? But again, the devil is in the details because, I mean, we have, part of the work we sometimes do for people is we investigate their court cases, and sometimes you find things, you know, you say no arrest, it could, you know,
you find things you don't want to find.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's take the next one.
Do we expect any movement at the family visas? Thank you.
Mavi, we have heard that the consulate now have come back full circle and they are operating with a good speed. However, the backlog, the family cases that we're dealing with are still stuck.
Yeah.
The backlog is horrendous. Now, in terms of movement in the family visas, that's such a broad question.
Well, yeah, I mean,
maybe you have a better
I guess
take.
I'll comment briefly on the backlog. You know, they were, for the benefit of all the employment-based folks, they weren't approving family visas at the consulate and basically left cases in limbo. And if they're not issuing visas, and more people are certainly filing family preference visas as well, the backlog has only been growing a bit bigger, is bigger.
Yeah.
And so...
and also the question of family visas. So immediate relatives, which is spouses, children of a U.S. citizen, and parents of U.S. citizen, there are no numerical, no backlog on these, except paperwork backlog.
Yeah.
No numerical limitations, meaning that there's no visa bulletin for them. They're available, you get them, you file them, you approve them, it's the government timeline. The fourth preference is deep underground, so deep underground, ain't gonna move. I mean, it's like 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, I was kind of running the numbers with somebody recently. I said, you know, all said and done, about 18 years before your relative is here in the U.S.
2 million cases, if I remember correctly, and 60,000 cases per year. They're not going to move. So we're into now, the F2A is available, spouse of a permanent resident, is available now. First and third preference, I really don't have a good handle on it.
Yeah, your memory. I'm impressed by your memory, though. Obviously, the big important one is the F2A relatives, spouses of permanent residence is what is the one.
So let's take the next one.
Yeah, that's the one we already took. You know, I'll take a positive compliment. Very good program.
Thank you, AT. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we just we just been talking about it through the afternoon. We figured we'd talk more. You know.
Yep. What happened to 1G process is going to slow people waiting for more. Can you tell me why, please?
1G process?
Don't know what a 1G process is.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm afraid yeah, if you can get it in the comments there, maybe we'll all give you an opinion there.
Hello guys, what happened to 221G? Maybe that's the 1G process. People have waiting for more than 1 year waiting time. Can you tell me why? Well, obviously, I mean, the 221G is nothing but an administrative process that the consulate goes through to vet an application. That's really what the consulate job is, to make sure that the information that they're acting upon is true and accurate. And it is another massive backlog that's happening right now at the consulate to get information to be able to circulate around.
Yeah.
And I think it's gone to a very unacceptable level.
I mean, the answer to that question varies upon, however many consular offices that there are in the world, what you're in and how many different cases the cases there are. So, but the bottom line is the problem with 221Gs and administrative processing is that they have basically infinite discretion to take as much time as they want to make a decision. And that's that.
Yeah, I mean, we're not seeing 1 year on all cases. We're seeing cases getting resolved.
Yeah.
But we're also seeing cases getting stuck. So it's hard, it's a very difficult situation. All right, take the next one.
Yeah. So any hope for EB2 India 2014 August?
So today we're not going to project.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. It's hard for us because we're trying to digest this. It came in today. I'd like to sleep on it and see what my dreams will tell me before I start beginning to project. Unless you have a
I mean, it's hard to not listen to the messaging from the Department of State on this. Then again, their messaging has been inconsistent, so yeah, I think I agree with you, Sam. I'll be very interested. How about this? I'll be very interested to see what the January Visa Bulletin says. The January Visa Bulletin is when, in theory, they have new visas available, and maybe it will cause some sort of slight lurch forward in the EB2 India category. I can't say how much value it is, considering it just lurched 6 months backward, but maybe we'll get a little bit of that back.
All right, let's take the next one here.
Yeah.
From the Great Invisible. I love the name. What is the meaning of extended review by USCIS? That means they don't want to move forward very well with your case.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's not a particular term I've heard before.
It's not a legal term.
Yeah. So here, yeah, exactly. But here's the benefit. We're talking just about consulates and their broad discretion. They can take as long as they want. If it's something with USCIS and you're in the United States, eventually they do have to make a decision, and that's where like mandamus actions happen. You can eventually force them to make a decision if they're taking a cartoonishly long amount of time on a case.
It's very difficult to take a consulate to court, by the way,
Yeah.
Under the Constitution.
Yeah.
Next one, Brian.
Let's see what we got. Here we are.
Take that one.
My dates are current, but my medicals have expired. I'm scheduled to travel abroad next month for a month. Should I get medicals done before I leave in 20 days? So bottom line, it's theoretically they could issue an RFE anytime asking for those medicals, right? Yeah. But any RFE you get, you're only going to be gone for a month. You're here right now. You haven't gotten the RFE yet. Track your case online. Have a friend pick up your mail. And there's not a massive demand for medicals right now. The Visa Bulletin's only going backward. I think you should be able to get medical exams at any time.
My priority date is October 2015. I want to switch from tech to manager role. What do you recommend? Should I wait for more bulletin or should I continue with the change as perm will need to be filed? Well, that's an excellent question. Yeah. I think the point that we want to highlight to Alicia is that a perm labor certification is for a future position. So you could be in a tech position now and a labor certification filed for a manager role today without any delay. You don't have to be in the manager role to file your labor certification application. So it's not something that you should wait for if you feel and your employer feel that the job vacancy is for a manager job.
That's a great point. When you're signing off on that I-Supplement J, your employer, and I-45, you're saying, this is the job we're offering, this is the job we expect this person to take on a permanent basis, and if that's not what your future is, you kind of are required to go through the process again.
Yep. My priority date is August 2012, India, downgraded from EB2 to EB3 in October 2020. Didn't change the queue from that point. Got EAD, submitted RFE with 693. Would I get my, green card this year?
Yeah, so per the December Visa Bulletin, that date is about a year and a month, about a year off of current. Again, I guess we're not trying to predict the Visa Bulletin, but I'm going to predict that I'm going to wait until I'm very interested to see what the January Visa Bulletin does. If that means visas are released, that means the date should be able to move forward instead of backward, he said, hopefully.
Yep, Brian, take that one.
Sure. February 2014, priority date, India, received EAD AP in January 2022. 8/30/2022, submitted RFE with I-693. Current status, fingerprints were taken in the field office. What is going on with my case and when can I get the green card? So going on with your case, USCIS, it doesn't seem they have stopped reviewing cases, cases without current priority dates. They seem to be acting in good faith, getting cases ready to be approved whenever priority dates are available. When can you get your green card? It is when your final action date is current. That is it. That is what you should be looking on every month. That Visa Bulletin, it moves closer to your date. It moves closer to you getting a green card.
If I get interview call while I'm outside the country, what should I do? I will be away for a month. Well, that's an excellent question. I would be interested to know what the priority date is for the case, because if your priority date is current and you got a call, I would come.
Heck yeah.
I would come. But if your priority date is retrogressed significantly, if your priority date is borderline, I would still come, because they may have pulled a visa for you before it moved.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they start doing interviews before they think your date's going to become current. But I would also note they schedule interviews about 6 weeks out. So even if you're out of the country, typically that's not a guarantee, of course. But have somebody, if you're paranoid about it, track your case online, because it'll tell you the status, and have a friend pick up your mail.
And I'm sure you have an attorney who will
this is
contact
true.
you, call your lawyer and say, I'm leaving for a month. Immediately call me when that interview date comes in. I have a ticket to come back. All right, so Momo Lee. I live in a rural town and work in another town which is 75 miles away. Is it normal? Is it a normal commuting distance for most people? Takes about an hour. Do I need an LCA for both locations? Seems to me you've answered your own question.
Yeah.
She already told me it's a normal commuting time. Number one, the first question, obviously this is an H-1B question.
Yeah.
The number one question is, are you in a different metropolitan statistical area?
Yeah.
Obviously 75 miles, most likely yes. In normal commuting distance in certain towns like Texas is going to be more wider, because it's a bigger state and they have more highways than the compact areas like Maryland, for example.
Yeah.
Just by way of example, just because of the location. And if you tell me that it is normal, now I don't believe 75 miles one way is normal. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
But I don't know in your situation, if you tell me that the whole town travels 75 miles, one way and 75 miles the other way.
So I think I agree with Sam, is the first part of the analysis is how big is your MSA. I mean, you could in theory be 75 miles in the same MSA. I mean, considering just how big the Columbus MSA here is, for example.
Especially if you travel from one end of the MSA and then you end up about 5 miles out of the MSA on the other side of it.
Yeah. So basically, that's the sort of thing, talk to your, general rule of thumb is talk to your employer when changes of work site come up for H-1B visa holders, because it's a critical thing that generates the need for H-1B amendments, and they can talk to either their HR department or their counsel about that.
And when in doubt, amend.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in trouble in the situation.
Yeah, USCIS doesn't put on a police helmet and come out to your door when you don't amend. They get you when you file your next H-1B, and they say, we can't extend you because you're in non-compliance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nitin got a question for you.
Okay, Nitin has a lot of questions.
Yes. Good. Bring them on.
In response to my outside processing time service request, I got an email saying your case is currently under review. You should receive a decision or notice or other action shortly. What a great answer. You should have received a decision or notice or other action shortly.
Check our other chart of processing time that we're going to give you. It's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous response. Yeah.
So if your final action date is current, and your case has been in process for a long time, I would say maybe you start, if you've been in process for like 2 years since October 2020, I'd say maybe that's when you start haranguing your congressman or senator. But I don't really put much faith in the response of a USCIS out of process time service inquiry.
All right. Is this canned response or something is really happening?
Fresh from the can, sir.
Yeah.
They have
sardines.
Generous responses.
Yeah, sardine or tuna fish. It's canned response. When will August 2003 become current for EB3 and EB2? We will try to figure this out. I guess what Brian said, I stand behind. Let's get the January Visa Bulletin, and then we'll have a better idea of what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
Why do you think EB2 filing action date, final action date, I'm assuming, for India advanced in the December Visa Bulletin?
Wait, the filing date. Well, I wasn't paying too much attention to the filing date, so let's take a quick look.
EB2 did not advance. Maybe we misspoke. It's the EB3.
The EB3 filing date moved ahead
but the
1
EB2
month.
did not move.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing
filing
that to our
dates.
attention.
Yeah, final action dates.
Yes.
Yeah, they all went
Correct.
backward. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I was looking at the Visa Bulletin also, I was like, what is this looking like? So they moved EB3 forward and a little bit of the filing date, and then they moved
I'll tell you this, you know, the Visa Bulletin is always a pain to read. I want it to be color coded or something. I want it to be like green to indicate that it's moving forward, you know, yellow staying the same, and red that moved backward. That would surely introduce more confusion.
For me, at least.
But, you know, yeah, you're colorblind.
Ahmad, my priority date is November 2011, India. Currently waiting for perm to be approved. Do I need to apply in EB2 or EB3?
So EB2, November 20, is that?
November 2011. You know, I'm of the opinion right now it's so screwy that I would apply for both.
Yeah, you can apply in both categories.
I mean,
the bottom
who
line.
knows what's going to happen? I just don't believe EB3 has any firepower based on the numbers, and
Well,
it keeps moving forward.
Well, you know, if there was no demand for EB3, clearly it just increased because the dates have moved forward a couple months versus EB2 that have. So basically, you know, you're not, this individual is based upon their priority dates, not current in EB2, isn't current in EB3. But I agree with you, Sam. Have them both in your pocket. You know?
So filing dates, Brian,
Ooh,
for
filing.
December. They're taking filing dates, correct? No, I'm looking at it right here.
Yeah, no, they haven't put out what USCIS is taking.
But
yet.
filing date is current for him both, so he can file an adjustment status in either scenario.
If they take the filing dates.
If they take the filing date.
Yeah.
Now, if they don't take the filing date, I mean, whatever scenario that will get you an adjustment filed now, I think,
Yes.
is in your best interest. And November 2011. I don't know.
It's current in EB3, not in EB2. Yeah, file whatever adjustments you can because nobody was ever worse off by having a pending adjustment of status.
Lock in your adjustment in that path. The path that gets you the adjustment is what you need for right now, and then deal with it later.
Yeah.
Brian.
So RV, does layoff after getting green card and extended unemployment affect naturalization 5 years down the line?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Be thankful they laid you off after getting a green
It's an
card.
American thing to be laid off after a green card. Vivek, my wife has an expired F1 visa from 2016 and now has an approved I-797 valid until 2024 as part of her job. Can she use the automatic visa revalidation while traveling by road to Canada? I would tell you that you must consult with an attorney on the specifics and look at the documents so you can get a good answer. However, I can tell you that it appears that yes, she can do that based on this narrative you gave me, but don't get in the car and travel to Canada. Have an attorney look at it for you so you are not surprised coming
A critical
back.
thing to know about automatic visa revalidation is the visa doesn't have to be the same category in which you seek to enter.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Wonderful. Brian.
Now, with all clarity, what is your take on priority date, April 2015? Parole. I don't think we're at a point of clarity here. Unfortunately, I am in the land of Vaseline on my glasses, very blurry.
Yes. Well, I mean, when we see clarity, we think we see clarity, then we're bombarded with another layer of confusion.
Yeah.
I honestly think that this entire Visa Bulletin is a incredibly poor job of inventory.
Yeah.
A very poor job. They have absolutely no idea what they got.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, people always get frustrated about the lack of information about when their green card is going to get here, and I wish for a world where you could look up a list and say, here's your I-140 case number, here's the people in front of you in line, and here's where you are. I think I'm sure people would be angry about that in their own way, but it'd be nice to have a little bit more knowledge as to where things stand. Yeah.
If my advanced parole is expired, but I have an H-1B visa, can I still go out of the U.S. short vacation? Or should I have an advanced parole approval before I want to go out of the USA? So I'm assuming you are on H-1B visa. And if you're on an H-1B visa and you have a valid stamp, you could leave the country and come back. You do not need an advanced parole approval.
That's a policy only really for what is it, H&Ls, as I recall, maybe a couple other it's just
H&L and
H&Ls,
H4s and L2s. Yeah. However, have an attorney drop their eyes on it, obviously, when it comes to a situation where you're leaving the country and coming back and protecting your I-485, it does not hurt to have a holistic look by somebody, because you don't want.
You don't want to do consular processing. You don't
want to hear from me say, "Oh, well, but you didn't tell me this other fact."
Yeah.
There's so much.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. Fine.
So the USCIS also did this last year, a big retrogression in October 2021, the massive movement once spillover was available, March onwards. Can we maybe expect the same this year? Well, so over the course of the last year, we got messaging saying, yeah, the visas are here at EB2. Everybody hop in the water, EB2, it's fine. And this year, I mean, this is the messaging from the Department of State, but those guys are the ones who manage the Visa Bulletin. They're saying, no. You know, they're saying less visas, less movement, retrogression. I grow less optimistic anyway.
We were expecting this scenario that we're going through last year. Not this year, but it came too early.
I'm not following.
We were expecting slowing down of the movement of the Visa Bulletin in 2024.
Yeah.
We were expecting this year to be a lot more positive.
Yeah.
And it came a lot earlier than we thought.
Yeah.
Thanks for very much for the informative channel. You're more than welcome. Prior days in November 2014, 485 filed, got EAD and advanced parole already. If the primary applicant dies, with the green card process of the derivative gets impacted. So there is laws and regulations that may allow the continuation of the derivative beneficiary with discretion by USCIS. So this is not something that you can ignore if that happens to somebody. You really need to take action and have USCIS to exercise that discretion to allow for the continuation of the beneficiary.
For me, that's definitely, you talk to an attorney territory. There's a couple ways they can reinstate, you know, any sort of immigrant petition, but it's
very attorney intensive process.
Yeah.
It seems USCIS is assuming no spillover this year. Well, no, there is a spillover, which is 57,000, but there's no fall across and fall down. Mm-hmm. That's what you mean, I believe. Mm-hmm. If they might find the additional 20,000 for EB2, could we potentially go to September 2013 and 2023? Hard to tell. Let's wait until January Visa Bulletin, and we'll probably be able to give you a little bit better idea. Brian.
Oh, there's just a conversation. If the primary dies and the derivative cannot move forward, I know somebody, that's, again, it is possible to be clear, it is possible to save a petition after death of the primary applicant, for the record.
From your experience, does an interview happen between Christmas and New Year? Anything can happen anytime.
Yeah, I mean, the government takes government holidays. And I can't recall me personally attending one during that time, but I think that's a factor of I don't want to attend an interview during that. I guess I would.
But I would. It will be very interesting because the person could be completely nasty because he's working during that time, or completely in a jolly mood because it's Christmas. So there's no predictability on this question.
There's nothing that stops them. There's nothing that stops anybody from doing an interview during that the magical last week of the year. Yeah.
How many times I need to get my I-693? Already I have received twice for RFE for medical, which I have submitted. It's outrageous.
Yeah.
Number one, the whole idea of I-693 is stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, you're already in the U.S. You've been in the United States for 15 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and they need to cancel this entire medical examination need to be canceled or attach it to an H-1B process or a consular process.
Attach it to a consular process. You want to come to the United States where we want to make sure you don't have a new super disease. You're here. Well, too bad. You're our problem now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
When can I receive an interview date category CR1 DQ 9 11
Oh,
21
this is a Ghana. 20. Wow, that's a long. You've been waiting a year for a consular interview. So the good news is that again, the Department of State recently has said we are at full strength. We are acting on all cases. The problem is that backlog. You know, there were months in 2020 where they issued worldwide they're issuing like something like 60 or 600. I can't remember the exact numbers. cartoonishly small amounts of visas when typically they issue around like 40,000 a month. So they created a backlog, and it's going to take them some time to go through that, even if they are operating at full capacity.
I have 2 I-45 pending. USCIS closed one, the one that had approved EAD and advanced parole, and kept the other one. Are my EAD and advanced parole still valid? That's an extremely good question, and I'm wondering why in the heck USCIS would close one unless you've requested to close one.
Well, yeah. See, I'm actually dealing with something this right now. Somebody consulted with us, and said, I got this RFE from USCIS, and they said, hey, pick which one of your I-485s want to go with. And she was a primary applicant on one and derivative applicant on another. And she, dutifully responded to the RFE, and then, got paranoid and talked to an attorney after the fact. And I said, well, they kind of put you in a bad spot. You don't have to choose.
You may have
these.
to file a motion to reopen.
That's yeah. If they close maybe they close one out with the intent to approve one. But if they didn't approve one of them, they put you in a worse spot by doing it. Yeah.
I would file a motion to reopen and reconsider.
Yeah.
The closure of the other one, because obviously it was closed on false pretenses. They've lured you into believing you're getting a green card. Of course, you'll close it, but they didn't give you a green card.
You sound a lot like the letter I'm writing to USCIS. She made this decision with the presumption that you were going to approve one of her cases soon, and obviously that's not the case because you retrogressed the priority dates by 2 years.
How messed up are they? All right. Thank you so much for your expertise. You're more than welcome on this channel. Really appreciate it. Well, you're so kind. We appreciate it.
We
Why
have
don't you give him a clap?
Clap. I hope that's clap.
I think so.
I'm gonna push the clap button. Stop it now.
You think it would take 10 plus years to complete the current file adjustment status? 40,000 have filed, and the current rate, it seems very well be possible. 10 years is not impossible.
Yeah, that's the time frame I tell people. A lot of people know, but sometimes we're doing a perm for the first time. I'll say, have you heard the backlogs? I say, about 10 years.
Yep. I believe it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Is there a possibility for a lawsuit to recapture the 60,000 green card wasted in 2021 with so much retrogression and craziness? When you file a lawsuit, you never know what happens. Now, if you tell me, in my experience, and I've been involved in litigation and have been doing immigration law for now 28 years, if you tell me what are the chances of a lawsuit like this to be successful, I would put it on less than 2%.
Yeah, I'm thinking just very cursory about it. Those visas are wasted by law. The law provides that those visas go away when they aren't used. So that's the law acting as it should. It's just,
I love this response. Fortunately, I did not get an RFE. They just closed one. You have a better case.
Yeah, you
have a better case.
I'd be curious to read the decision notice why they closed it, because you're definitely allowed to have multiple independent paths to adjustment.
You have
status.
a better case. The question is how long ago has it been, and whether you can file a motion to reconsider. But I think even though if you're not timely, you probably have an opportunity.
Yeah, I'd be curious as to the circumstances of the multiple adjustments. Maybe they could say, what if you filed multiple adjustments based upon the same I-140? I don't know.
But there's no RFE.
Yeah. Basic USCIS policy says, if we're going to do something bad, we should notify why we're doing it and give you a chance to
I would be
respond.
curious, yes.
Yeah.
The devil is in the details.
Yeah.
That's something that you might want to consult a competent attorney to help you with.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for the information provided on this channel. You're more than welcome, Muthin. We appreciate your time listening to us as well. Hopefully you're getting some benefit from that. So we're approaching this 7 o'clock hour here. So we would like to take at least one more question past 7 o'clock. So we're not shortening anybody. But EB2 India, priority date, January 2014. When do you think it will become current? So we are going to defer on any projection until January.
That's going to be an interesting Visa Bulletin,
yes,
I think.
Again,
I think you could see some movement in a positive way for once.
By other means, they said they received benefits by other means, just closed October 2022. Yeah, absolutely. You need to talk to a lawyer on that.
Yeah, receive benefit by other means typically means, if they close your I-40, you got a green card. And that would be a huge administrative oversight if they said, we're going to approve this case and close the other one and don't approve the other case. Yeah.
When they did a transfer. Okay, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's roll here 7 o'clock, and I think we're going to go ahead and hit all of them. Can you please share information about your firm in the description. Okay, sounds good. So if you Google immigrationvisaattorney.com, you'll find us, but we will also put our contact information for you in the description as well. You're very welcome. When do you predict December 2011 to become current in EB2? Are you kidding me? We were happy with 2012 and now we're worried about predicting.
I wasn't happy with 200.
It's ridiculous.
I think January is going to be an interesting Visa Bulletin. That's where I'm really hoping to see.
How long does it take to receive a medical RFE after filing a 485?
Depends on when they're looking at your case. If your priority date's current, it could be at any time. If your priority date is not current, they have little motivation. Though they still are working on cases that don't have current priority dates yet.
Our normal schedule is every Monday at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. We spend 1 hour to talk about the topic of your concern and take your questions. So until Monday, you guys have a wonderful rest of the week.